is simply the belief in God's love. Let me repeat that again. Faith is nothing but the belief and therefore believing in God's love. It is not some element in which we therefore have to obtain. It is not some energy that we need to retain. Because a lot of times we talk about faith, and faith becomes a person all on its own. And we talk about it as this encompassing and all-encompassing thing, like it is the ark, something that we are to behold, something that we are to touch, that it is separate and independent all on its own. And when I mean the ark, I'm referring to the Old Testament with the Ark of the Covenant. But the reason why that I had to bring this thing home saliently and accurately, because all faith is the belief and therefore believing in God's love. The question becomes, and this is why I say we're going to go the deep, and we're going to go the most deep, because the question that begs and the question that brings is this: if faith is simply the belief and the believing in God's love, why do we need to believe and have belief in God's love? Well, that is a serious and mighty question. And the answer is this: it is because of sin. Oh, hey! Let me repeat that again. The reason why we need to have faith is because of sin. And more specifically, because of our sin. This is not how God intended it to be from the beginning. In the beginning, before sin was introduced into our relationship and therefore intercepted and therefore interrupted and disrupted and disturbed our full and whole and entire and encompassing and eternal relationship with God, we did not need faith because we had knowledge. Hey! I'm coming for you today, church, and understand what I mean when I say I'm coming for you. I'm not saying this as the world says. See, the world says this when I'm coming for you as to say that I'm going to expose you. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to humiliate you. And the modern day colloquialism and vernacular and jargon, we would say put you on blast or throwing shade. No, that's not what I mean when I say I'm coming for you. When I say that I'm coming for you, I speak this as the good shepherd. Hey! I speak this as Jehovah Rohi, the Lord our shepherd. Meaning, I am the one that comes to find you. I am the one that seeks and searches you out to come get you. Wherever you are and wherever you may be, so that I may enter you and bring you and usher you into the fullness and the wholeness and the greatness of God's presence, which is God's love. That's what I mean when I say I'm coming for you. I say this as the good shepherd. So believe me when I tell you, I am coming for you with this one right here. The reason why we need faith and belief, and to believe in God's love, because we are no longer in full relationship with Him. And we do not therefore have full, F-U-L-L, and for, F-O-R-E, knowledge. Or more accurately, knowledge. Because knowledge is taken from the word know. Therefore, knowledge is what you know. Knowledge. So the knowledge is the leveraging of what it is that you know. You see, you just thought that knowledge was just information. No. Truly, knowledge, which is knowledge, is a state of being and a state of action. And it is the state and the operation of leveraging what you know and leveraging whatever it is that you know, hence knowledge. So if you just know something, but you are not leveraging what it is that you know, you don't have knowledge, you have data. Oh, hey! You have simply information. And information comes from the word inform, meaning you are merely informed, meaning you are merely made aware, made abreast. But you do not have knowledge, because knowledge is not just the knowing, it's not just being informed and being aware. It's the knowledge, the leveraging of what it is that you know. Leveraging what it is that you have been informed of. Because I love you. Because it is truly this that is going to levitate and elevate us to the next level. And to the greatest of levels, my friends. So understand this. Yeshua and El and Yah and Yahweh and Yehovah says when you are brought into the knowledge of God, oh, hey, that's when things start to happen. And the reason why things start to happen when you are brought into the knowledge of God, is because you now become able and equipped to leverage what it is that you've been informed of. You see, just having data and just having information is a good thing within itself, because it's better to know than not to know in most cases. But when God talks about knowledge, and specifically knowledge and knowledge of Him, He's talking about leveraging our love relationship, leveraging our love and my love for you. And the only way that you are able to leverage it is if you know it. And the only way that you know how to leverage my love for you is if I have shown you and I have demonstrated this to you. This is why there is power in the knowledge and the knowledge of God, because it's simply not the acquisition and the ascertaining and the gathering and the collecting of data and information. It is the leveraging of such in which the power to make things happen comes. So therefore, you may be informed and you may have information and you may have data and you may know some things about me. But until you know how to leverage what it is that you know about me, you do not have knowledge of me. Hey! Coming for you. And I'm trying to talk to you. And trying to speak truth to you. Because by the power of Almighty God, we are going to get this thing accurate. Therefore, what Yeshua HaMashiach demonstrated to us was the knowledge, how to leverage what it is that you know. What Yeshua was trying to do was take us from simply having faith and belief and believing in the love that he has for us and start knowing. And then once we start knowing, then he is going to take us into the knowledge. You see, that's where the relationship comes from. Because you need relationship with me, because I'm the only one that can show you how to leverage what you know. You can have belief and then you can enter into knowing. But only when you are in a true love relationship with me do you therefore and thereof enter into the knowledge. Meaning I begin to show you and begin to teach you how to leverage this thing. To leverage what it is that you know. And that's how you will then begin to have real and true knowledge. Knowledge of me. And that's when we are able to truly do some great and mighty and miraculous things in and of the majesty of the Almighty God. It's when we truly begin to know and learn by sitting at the feet of the Messiah and our Lord how to leverage this thing. Because that is the knowledge, the knowledge of me. So you see, the reason why we as the church has been talking about faith, as I stated before, for the longest time, because we haven't moved into the knowledge of God. Okay, I told you we was going to go the most deep. Now we about to go deep. So stick and stay with me in the spirit. For as the Ruach Hekadesh, I am going to lead you into the spirit of truth and lead you through the spirit of truth into all ways of truth. Because the fact that we're still stuck on faith shows us that, as the Apostle Paul said, that we have not moved from the pure milk to the meat. Therefore, God is saying, how long will we stay stuck on you believing in my love for you before we get to you actually stop believing in my love and actually start knowing my love. To stop just believing and having faith that I love you and actually know for certain that I love you. Because once you finally move from faith to actually knowing that I love you, then we can actually start through this love relationship obtaining knowledge. Then I can start showing you how to leverage what it is that you know, and that you know of this love, and that you know of our love, because this love is me. God is love. So when we're talking about knowing of this love and knowing how to leverage this love, we're talking about knowing me and knowing how to leverage me, my love for you, and everything that I am inside of you. Leveraging me is who I am, because I am you and I am inside of you. So knowing how to leverage me is knowing how to live in your purpose, is knowing how to live in your plan, is knowing how to live in your promise, which is my purpose, which is my plan, which is my promise, my design for you. So knowing how to leverage me is knowing how to leverage everything that is of me and everything that is from me, because I am life. So knowing how to leverage me is knowing how to live your life. Oh, hey! And it's knowing how to have life. This is called entering into the knowledge of God. For how long will we stay stuck on faith, believing that I love you, instead of actually knowing that I love you? I'm coming for you. And the reason why that you know that I love you is because I told you. Hey! There is something greater, that He is truly not just bringing us into one of the greatest, He is truly bringing us into the greatest. And what is the greatest? It is Him. So He's bringing us into all of Him, as it was back in the Genesis, back in and at the beginning. It's serious business. We have to truly understand what happened at the Genesis, at the beginning, which is, as great and beautiful faith and belief is, you have to understand that faith and belief was a part of the punishment. Faith and belief was a part of the punishment. And what was the punishment? Being separated from God. When He had to remove Himself from us because of our sin. Faith and belief was a part of the punishment, because now, because of our sin, that's all we have. Because we can't see Him, we can't commune with Him, we can't congregate with Him and converse and conversate with Him like we used to. We were kicked out because we chose ourselves and our sin over Him. This was a part of the exile. Remember, He chose not to execute us, but exile us. He chose instead to expel us instead of expiring us. For, as the Apostle Paul said, in his letter to the church at Rome, in the 6th chapter, 23rd verse, for the wages of sin is death. Truly, the eating of the fruit meant that we were supposed to be executed. But he truly loves us with a love that surpasses all understanding. So, our crime called for capital punishment. But he didn't do it. Instead of executing us, he exiled us. To truly understand what exiling means, you have to understand what is the punishment behind it. We've seen this story play out several times before in books and novels and movies and plays and theater and shows, where the king was supposed to kill and execute his son because he did an offense punishable by such. But instead, because he loves his son too much and he can't kill him, he exiles him. So, exile and being exiled is being banished. And just like death, it's supposed to be forever. You see, that's the comparable compromise. Both of the two things are supposed to be forever. But one wants you gone from this earth forever in the form of death. But the compromise is, I'm not going to take this person from this earth forever by ending that person's life. Instead, I'm going to remove you from my presence and from this place forever. That's what exile was. You were not supposed to enter into my presence or enter back into this place ever again. That was supposed to be the comparable compromise. Both are permanent, and both are a death of sorts. One is the death of your life, of your mortal existence, and one is the death of a relationship. But both are permanent, and both are therefore meant to be forever. So, what makes exile, apart from it being permanent, apart from it being forever, like death, what else outside of that characteristic and attribute makes it comparable to the ending of life? Well, it is the end of a life. It's not the end of your mortal life, but it is the end of a life. It's the end of your life with me, and it's the end of your life in this place. Meaning the life that you are going to live now as an exile is going to be 100% different than how it was with me. It's going to be completely and entirely and totally opposite of all that you have experienced in my presence and in this place. You're being permanently removed from. Now, that may not seem like a big deal, depending on the loss of the relationship. That actually might be a real good bargain. That actually might be a real good deal. Yeah! Depending on the relationship. But we know now, and truly in the depths of who we were, that there was nothing that never could measure up to God and being with God. But that's something that you have to what? Trust. Oh, remember, I told you trust only exists where there is a relationship, where you see and therefore have seen something. Faith and belief is where there is no relationship and you cannot see, and therefore what is unseen. So that's where the trust comes in, because love is a willful and voluntary act. Now, trust wouldn't be needed if it was a forceful act. If I was forcing you, then we could remove trust altogether. But because it's willful and voluntary, there's always a choice. But what I'm asking you to trust in is easy. It's a no-brainer. Why? Because I'm asking you to trust in something that you know. I'm trying to come for you with everything that's in me from the Holy Father. The trusting part is easy because I'm only asking you to trust in something that you know. The faith part was a part of the punishment because it's hard. Just like labor, the sweat of your brow, everything that you have now, it's going to be hard to get. That's why that was a part of the punishment, a part of the curse. Now, every single bit of knowledge and every single inch of what you know of me and our relationship is not going to be easy now. It's going to be hard. That's a part of the punishment of the exile. The exile stands for the exiting from knowledge. The relationship is the entering into knowledge, into knowledge. The exile is the exiting, the end of the knowledge. That's why faith and belief replaced it. Because faith and belief will always be composed and constructed to fill the space and the gap between knowing and not knowing. So in between knowing and not knowing will always be faith and belief. But that's the punishment of exile. See, when you were with me, you knew everything about me. You knew intimate and intricate details about me. That's what the Son knows. That's what Yeshua knows. Because he's always with me and I am always with him. So I have intimate and intricate details. It's the same thing with husband and wife. The wife and the husband is always going to have those intimate details most of the time that no one else knows. because they have entered into a relationship that has granted and gifted them with the greatest level of knowledge. But that's the punishment of exile, is that I remove you from my presence now, and I remove you from this place. So that's the exiting of the knowledge. Now you won't know where I'm at. If we divorce, if we break up, you don't get access to me like that no more. You don't get to know where I'm at. Now you're going to have to guess. I knew what time she went to work, if she's still there, if she's still at the same job, if her time hasn't changed. I used to know our number, if it's the same number, if the number hasn't changed. I don't know anything anymore. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the knowledge like I used to. And that's what faith and belief will always fill and fall into the gap between knowing and not knowing. If I don't know what time she goes to work, then I have to try to guess. I believe that when I go there, she may show up, she may not. I believe if I call this number, she may answer, she may not. You don't know how the person's going to react because I don't know this person no more. All those intimate and intricate details that I used to know about you, I don't know no more. It still could be the same, it may not. But now I have to believe. I have to apply faith to it. Faith will always fill and fall in between the gap of what is unknown and what is known. That's why faith and belief was always supposed to be a temporary place. Thanks be unto God. It was supposed to be a permanent place, but he made it temporary and gave us back our permanent place with him. We was never supposed to get our permanent place back. We was never again supposed to enter into the knowledge of him. Because we killed it. We murdered it. We slaughtered it. We slain it. When we sinned. But that's a part of the punishment of exile. The not knowing. And it's also a part of the curse. Because if you never had a good meal, then you'll be satisfied with whatever you're fed. But if you truly have experienced the real thing, like the oldie but goodie says, perfect. Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. When you experience that real thing and you have it taken away from you, that's a part of the punishment. Because now you have the what? The knowledge of good and evil. Now you can look back and say, wow, I really was living a good life. I really did have it great. But I gained the knowledge of good and evil at the expense of the curse. At the expense of experiencing and knowing the opposite. And that opposite was supposed to be our new permanent. Was supposed to be our new norm. This was now supposed to be our life because we were exiled. But God saw fit through the Abrahamic covenant to enter back into relationship with us again. And took ownership of us again. Making us God's property. Making us God's people. But he could not enter into full relationship back with us because of our sin. Our sin was always the separator. The sin was always the separator. Meaning we were always going to be an eyesore. So, as merciful and magnificent and completely undeserving as it was for God to enter back into relationship with us when we were exiled and was supposed to be permanently exiled, was God once again breaking his own rule, breaking his own law. That's why I told you that there is no principles. There is no laws. There is no limits when it comes to love. When you got true love, there is no rule. You can try to make a rule, but if you truly love a person, you're going to break it. Because that's love. That's why the love relationship we had back at the beginning didn't have no laws, didn't have no rules, didn't have no limits. But now, because of sin, this relationship with God does. And now, he has to place limits on what we can do, what we can't do, what we should do, and what we should not do. But because God loves us truly with a love that surpasses all understanding and desire to be in love relationship with us, that he broke his own law, he broke his own limit, he broke his own rule, and allowed us to come back in a relationship with him. Whenever the person is allowed back from exile, they are not 9 times out of 10 given everything that they had back before. The majority of the time, you are allowed to come back when you were exiled. Just the act of that on its own, which you were undeserving of, should be enough. You are not to expect anything else. If you live like a pauper, you live like a slave, you live like a servant, you live like whatever, you're supposed to be truly grateful, because you realize I'm not even supposed to be back. I'm not even supposed to be back in the presence or in this place at all. That's how it was with us with God. That's why we had to go through the painful process of getting circumcised. And then came the ordinances, and then came the laws, and then came everything else. Because the access that you once had, the full access, the unfiltered and the unencumbered access you had, you're not just going to get that back if you ever get it back. So because we are entered into relationship with him, but the knowledge was not restored, now he was slowly but surely revealing himself again to his newfound property and people. But therefore, because of the lack of this knowledge, as I stated before, belief and faith had to fill and fall in the gap. Because we're like, hey God, if we're back in relationship, why are you so far away? Why can't I not see you? What's up with all of these dreams and all of these visions and all of these riddles and all of these puzzles? We enter back into relationship, but it don't really still seem like you want to be in relationship with me because you're keeping yourself separate. And there's still so little that I know of you. And you only revealing, a tad bit at a time. You're just giving me these breadcrumbs that I have to follow. I don't understand. Why are you hiding yourself from me? Why are you conducting this relationship like this? Because of our sin. Our sin was still present. The sin of what we did and the sin of what we're doing. And God is holy, so he cannot abide where sin is. Because that would be the desecration and the defamation and the decimation of who he is. And true love never brings you down. True love builds you up. True love never destroys but creates. So if God had to destroy who he was, if he would even choose to, for us, it wouldn't be a love relationship. So I truly have to believe for what God revealed to me through his revelation, that it was never about God stooping himself down to come to us. It was always about building a stairs for us to come back up to him. It was always about building raising, rising, lifting, levitating, elevating us back to him. But now he's saying, because of your sin, I can't be fully present with you. So there is a whole lot of knowledge that you are not going to be privy to. Whole lot of things you're not going to get to know. About me, about what I'm doing, about what's happening, all of it. And that is why faith was required. Because God was saying, you broke this relationship with your sin. This sin is present here and now because of you, not because of me. I'm not able to be in full relationship with you, not because of anything that I did, but because of what you did and are doing. But I have given you something that you should have never been given the opportunity to have, which was to end your exile and enter back into love relationship with me. Once again, I'm breaking my own rules. I should have executed you, but I exiled you. And now I'm letting you back when I should. But understand, even though I'm letting you back, it's not going to be nowhere near like it was. But can you accept these terms? And that I'm coming for you with everything that's in me. I told you I was going deep. That's why it says that faith pleases him. Because he's saying, are these acceptable terms to you of this love covenant and love contract? It's not what it was. And I can't be with you like how I was. And because of that, there's a whole lot of things you're not going to be able to know. But are you good with that? Because now, faith is going to be how you're going to have to operate. Since we can't be in full communion, and you're not going to be able to know a whole lot of things, are you good with the faith? Are you good with the belief? Because if these terms are unfavorable to you, then you can exit out of this relationship. And you see, this is way before the coming of Yeshua HaMashiach. We see grace from God the Father. Before we receive grace from God the Son, we have first and always and forever have received and will receive grace from the Father, from whom we receive grace from the Son. Because he is saying, you are supposed to be exiled, permanently removed from ever being in my presence, forever being in the place where I am. But I've given you that back now. Is that good? Is that enough? And what faith and belief let God know that we were ready to relinquish our sin? Like, I understand, God. This truly isn't about you. This is about me. I did this, and I am going to do something, meaning I'm still going to continue to sin in some way, form, shape, or fashion. And therefore, I am always going to be an eyesore. And truthfully, you shouldn't even have come for me. You shouldn't even have looked for me. And you shouldn't even be looking on me or looking upon me, even looking in my direction. Because I'm a piece of crap. Truthfully, I'm not even supposed to be alive. I'm supposed to be dead, but you exiled me. And I was never supposed to see you again. But here we are now communicating. Here I am now with the privilege to be able to pray and talk to you. But because of my sin and my continual sins, we can't be in full relationship with you. And I can't enter into the knowledge and the knowledge of you like before. But even with this gap, your grace is sufficient. Even with this gap, you're going to slowly but surely close it by gracing the gap. My ministry thing. And because I don't know you and know what you're doing and have knowledge of you like I did before, It's going to require faith and belief. And this is why, brothers and sisters, I opened up by saying faith is a beautiful thing. And that is why God did miraculous things without faith, because he knew that this is how we had to operate with now. But if you believe in me, but if you have faith in me, I'm still going to do great and mighty things for you, in spite of the fact that we can't see each other. Case in point, if I still love you and I still desire for you to be my wife, but for some reason we can't see each other right now, we can't be with each other, you're all the way on the other side of the world, then now because we can't see each other, it's going to require faith and belief. But you're going to still have to believe that even though we can't see each other fully, that I'm still going to take care of you. I'm still going to send you gifts. I'm still going to send you provision. I'm still going to do for you and work things out for you as my wife, even though this relationship is way different than how it used to be when we was together all the time, when you were fully here and fully present with me. But if we truly desire to be in this love relationship with each other, then faith is all we have. We're literally on opposite ends of the world, but if we desire to truly be in relationship, and all we desire, which is why the only command of God is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and with all your might, as the King James Version says, then if me, God, is all you desire to be with, and all you want, that I am your portion, then faith is good. Faith is more than good. Belief is good. Belief is more than good. Because we could not be in relationship at all. And truth be told, that is what I deserve and more. And that is why, for those who had faith and for those who believed, God was pleased with it. And it let him know that we did put him first above all things. And that he was number one in our life. And that is why, through our acts of faith, and through all the acts of faith that we see through the Old Testament, we see how God did miraculous things. But the reason why I'm preaching this because I truly have to get you to understand that even though faith was how we had to operate, because of the constraints and the confines of the relationship, and God still showed that I am God, and even with me not being fully present with you, and even with us not being in full relationship with you, that just my shadow, just my whisper can do miraculous wonders in your life, truly cuts and clips all of our heads clean and clear off our shoulders. But as miraculous and beautiful as that is and was, understand this, brothers and sisters, that it was a punishment. And it was a part of the punishment and the penalty and the unfortunate predicament of our sinful nature and sinful condition, and therefore cursed and fallen state and condition. But when we say the song, it won't always be like this, the Lord will perfect that concerning me, concerning you. That's why he said that he will do above all we think and imagine, all we think, dream, and imagine, because we were looking at our predicament like it is what it is. We sinned and we keep on sinning because we're in a sinful condition. And so if this is how we have to communicate with God, and we can never be back in full relationship with God, and we can never enter back into the full knowledge of God, then so be it. I'm happy and content with whatever my portion whatever my place, whatever my part is in his presence, in his purpose, in his plan, and in his promise. And for all those, Abraham, Abraham, Isaac, Isaac, Jacob, Jacob, Israel, from Moses to Moses, Joshua, all of them who had that heart like David, of the broken spirit, broken and contrite heart. And the fact that I just get a piece of you, however small that piece is, the fact that I just get some part of you, however small that part is, it is well with my soul. God blessed and moved mountains, miraculously so, because he was pleased with that type of heart. He was pleased with that type of love. He was pleased with that type of faith and belief. And how, as the Apostle Paul said, we learn to be content. If this is it, this is all we have because of what we did, I'm content and glad to just get a piece and a part of it back. But that's not where he left us, brothers and sisters. Hey! That's not where he left us. Because this love that he had truly surpasses all understanding.